this episode of Conversations with Anne Marie, we explore dragons. What are these creatures? Are they purely mythology, or do they truly exist? I myself have had encounters with their energies, and I have invited today two of my dear friends to talk about their interactions with dragons. So, as we explore this fascinating subject, I welcome to Conversations with Anne Marie the amazing Lynn and Carol Billets. And welcome Abby and Carol to Conversations with Anne Marie.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. I so appreciate it. So I have a little bit of experience with dragons. They have made themselves known to me during sessions with clients, and I had this incredible experience where I had these series of synchronicities when it came to dragons, whereas I never thought about them before. And then all of a sudden they came into my life. And I was on an airplane going from New York to California and encountered a lot of turbulence over the Rockies. And I remember calling in angels and dragons. And when I did that, I felt this dragon energy like I've never felt it before. It literally came up underneath the airplane and suspended the airplane. And as a matter of fact, it was such an intense experience. I actually felt source coming down. And it was the first time that I had this connection with source consciousness that was so blissful and intense. It was absolutely amazing. And as soon as I got out of that meditation, all the turbulence stopped. But anyway, part of my role, I think, in this grand scheme of things is to bring people together. And so I know Abby from my truther community and my disclosure community, and I know Carol from a completely separate spiritual community involving a mutual friend, Nilesh Mistry, who channels Metatron. So I'm so happy to introduce you amazing souls together because you are both dragon energies. You both work with dragons so intensely. Abby, can you talk to us a little bit about how you interact and when you first started to interact with the energy of dragons?
Yeah, of course. I first really was introduced to dragons through my son is very close to his dragon. Mm-hmm. And so he would, draw his dragon and share stories of his dragon coming to his window and talking to him. It's, one of his protectors. But I really didn't start interacting myself, seeing them and speaking with them until I was doing sessions. And when I would go into, the first time I did, I went into the Akashic Records, and the client had a lifetime during the Knights Templar. And that was the first dragon that came in. And it was really interesting because the first time that I saw one, it was so huge and large and just stomping and had just all of this just robust energy. And, I loved every minute of it, but it did, like, I was flat out for about 36 hours after that. I think it made me so tired being around that energy. And out of all the things that I do channel and speak with, dragons for some reason, they do make me the most tired when I'm holding in that frequency in order to channel them or to speak with them. But yes. And, I really kind of feel like with anything is once you create that link, it just opens up an entire realm to you then. And then you can start interacting with all the different beings. And, the most information I really get from them is their connection with, the elementals, water, fire, earth, air, and they love discussing discussing that. But yeah, so that's really how I work with them. I don't do research into dragons. I don't, I'm not a dragon scholar, because I want all my information to come straight from them. So, everything that I speak on, I'm only going to speak from my own personal experiences and what they've told me themselves.
That's wonderful. Fair. Very good. Carol Billets, can you kindly tell us how you became aware of the realm of dragons? Because your stories are incredible.
Well, I'm a lot like, I agree with Abby and what she said about the dragon presence and the dragon energy and how they love to talk about elementals. My first experience was many, many years ago, and I love building fires. And a lot of times I meditate on the fire and I relax on the flames in the fire. And I saw just a red, it looked like it was alive, full, teeny dragon. And it was like, it was turning and looking at me, and it was like wanting to talk to me. And I'm like, how is there a dragon in the fire? And I kept thinking it's the flames. It's, the colors of the flames, because meditating on flames is very relaxing for me. And no, the dragon was a living energy that wanted to talk to me. And I was kind of flabbergasted. It wasn't like talking to angels, which I've always been aware of, and you're always aware of the presence and their love and the support and their guidance. But dragons are creatures of their own source, and they do resonate with the earth and the fire and the wind. And as I would interact with them more, I was, especially with Nilesh, I was aware of the immense light source that they carry, and that they are very sovereign and creating species, tribe. I kind of call the dragons, I know my dragon tribe, because I'm comfortable with them now. So I was just so aware of the source and how sovereign they are within their own being. And they have always, I felt with my and with them, is they want humanity to take back their sovereignty. They want humanity to reclaim their light. They want humanity to reconnect with the elements. They had such a close relationship with Gaia and the elements and humanity. And we kind of turned our backs and said, oh, we want to go make money. So my interaction with them has been wanting them to reach out to humanity, to bring us back to what we've forgotten or what we don't pay attention to, and like for right now, when a lot of people are talking about this, the sunlight and the moonlight's difference. And the dragons always want us to go out and be part of our environment, part of our source, part of our light. And I think that if humanity starts reconnecting with nature and the elements and the dragons, whatever creatures they're comfortable with, I think it's a step toward becoming connected to Earth and our own tribe.
It's terrific, and well done for forging on after my phone goes off in the middle of the recording. This is part and parcel of my day right now and my life and everything. But that's all well and good. So thank you, Carol, for talking to us and sharing that amazing information with us. Abby, kind of bouncing off on what you both said, what have the dragons told you about who they are and their role in their interactions with humanity? Can you start off on that?
They've really only given me a glimpse of the history as to how we interact with them. They long for the days when we walk amongst them again, like they want to be here with us again, very strongly. And when that message comes through, it makes me extremely emotional because I'm feeling it from them. So the historical aspect that was shared with me from a dragon whom I'm now very close with, I love him, was that they once were with man. We were very, very tightly wound together, very tightly wound. And an outside race came onto this planet, and they saw the dragons as their first threat, because we were nothing to this race that came in, and they started eliminating all of the dragons. And they saw that it was hard on us because there was nothing that we could do. We could not protect the dragons from these beings. We wanted to. And that their species themselves chose to leave this plane. And they didn't necessarily say that they left this earth, but they left our vision of the plane. So I don't understand, how that necessarily works, but it's like they're still here, but we can't perceive them. And they've always been here, but we can't perceive them. So they just stepped back and went behind the veil. And so anyway, so that is what has been told to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's very, very emotional when that
Yeah.
was shared with me. So,
Wow. Carol, what's your knowledge of this? What do you know
Well,
about this?
Mine is very similar. They did, felt that there was interference between human and Eden dragons. And from what the dragons' perspective is, they felt the interlopers, the interference settled into political and church controlling structures. And so that they not only were able to get rid of dragons, but they were able to outlaw them, and they're basically able to nullify their existence in a way. Mm-hmm. So, I agree that the interference came in, and the dragons were the major threat. So they stepped whatever steps they could to separate man and dragon, and man and fairy, and man and magic, because dragons, fairies, and magic, part of our creator is creating magic. And a lot of our abilities to be source beings seems magical. And so, of course, the first thing interference would want to do is to squash our magical abilities. So smash our magical relationships, whether it's fairies or, the whole realm. It's like witches were burnt, and they were able to heal, and they were considered magical, and they tried to wipe them out. And so I agree, the dragons, it's like the dragons and the fairies and the elves, they're there, but they're not there. But I do know that they also have a separate, I don't want to call it a planet because it's a non-dimensional, multi-dimensional place. It's like source is a place, but it's not a place. And the dragon's place of home is a place, but it's not a place. So you can go to where they are created, but it's not simple. The creatures that come from magic are just not simple creatures, and we get to just see little glimpses of the magic and the light they bring. And I do think as more and more people begin to listen to trees and listen to dragons and to connect to the magical beings, which is what dragons are. They're magical beings. And I have always felt an enormous, it's like our high heart carries the love of God, the love of creator, and it's not judgmental, it's compassionate, and it is giving. And dragons don't just have a little heart, they have this huge heart, which is, I guess, all the tales of a dragon heart. Their heart is enormous, so they are able to share more in a more multidimensional light. But I agree, they're not here, but they are here. Mm-hmm. So, anything magical is not just simple. I mean, it was, but we pretty much decided to listen to everybody else tell us what to do through the ages.
Yeah. Dragons, they always want to be of service to others, always. And, whenever when I'm connecting and I'm either clearing a house or doing a healing on somebody, and I just open the floor up to whomever, who will come in and aid me in this, dragons. Immediately, the dragons are always the first ones to come in and volunteer. And it's like, what do we need to do? How can I help? Tell me what to do. And so it is the heart center of a dragon is so loyal. It's unwavering when you are working with them, and their connection to us as a species is so interesting because it is so tightly bound. And I wish that I could understand it more than what the feelings. I wish I could express the feelings of when they come in, of why we're so bound tightly with them.
Yeah, phenomenal. That's
Mhm.
phenomenal. As I'm hearing you both discuss this, I'm thinking about the fairy energy being so attached to lightheartedness and joy and playfulness and innocence and just fun. And then I'm hearing you connect the dragon energy to vastness, to big heart, to strength, empowering, self-empowering. How does that resonate with you? Do you feel that maybe just like the elementals tie into the elements of the earth, these magical creatures tie into our elements as humans, our chakras, our kind of our, just our overall energy beings, like tying into the heart, to the solar plexus, maybe to strength, to honor, to valor, to compassion. What do you guys think of that? Carol, do you have anything to say?
Oh, go ahead, Abby.
Oh, no, I was just saying, when I connect with dragons, I feel they're very more tightly aligned with angelics than I would say fairies. They're very, they're in the angelic realm. Fairies, even like, they're like, fairies are just much lighter. Dragons are just like heavier, denser energy. But in terms of like with the chakras, I haven't, dragons are the closest ones to human emotions of the beings that I've spoken with. But in terms of the chakras lining up, I don't know. They're just, again, like, I just feel so elemental. They're just so attached to the elementals, and they come in, they just want to re-educate us to understand how to work with them. And in one channeling, the dragon came through and was talking about how in our physical body. So he did show lining up, but it wasn't through the chakras. It was lining up the elements, and how when we are walking within alignment with the elements, that's how our body is moving forward. So.
You're just bringing something into kind of like understanding for me, because I do a healing with the 5 Chinese elements. I do a healing with the 5 Chinese elements. So water, wood, metal, fire, and earth. And so the dragons are an important part of Chinese lore and culture. I wonder if maybe those are the elements, energy centers that they closely align to. It would seem that would be, because each energy center in Chinese medicine aligns with the organs, with our own energy field. So that's an entire possibility. That seems to resonate a lot more with me than maybe the chakra system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you have any knowledge of that, Carol?
Well, what I've felt, and I guess it's because when I've done regressions, I've had so many lifetimes of priests, and the shaman priests were well known for having the dragons on the inner arm. And when I tune into my relationship with dragons, I am pulled into the presence of being fully present, of when dragons are here, they announce that they are here now. They literally announce to the earth. They walk with intention. They move forward with intention, and they are here in this present moment. So they, for me, are reminder of okay, I'm just going to go with what I'm hearing. There's a connection to be honored between man and dragon. It is one that has gone back beyond the mist, and man has always held the dragon within his heart, as the dragon has held man within their heart. They're intertwined, for the man learns from the dragon, from his strength, from his sovereignty, from his respect of himself and his presence of who he is. And the dragon learns from the man in his never-ending curiosity and willingness to go forward into the unknown. So dragons are closely related to the angelics, and that they work hand in hand with man in a form of high light and high honor. And when I tune into the heart of a dragon, I feel nothing but bright, warm light, one that wants mankind to go forward in curiosity, to go forward into the light, to walk into the light and the dark with equal amount of courage and light. And the dragon is saying that there is only darkness where the light has not walked yet. And they do walk with mankind through all valleys of light and dark.
Wow. That's beautiful. Thank you. And this kind of speechless is just so beautiful, so profound and beautiful. Abby, can you talk a little bit about how the dragons have helped you heal, and how you've told a story about, is it your daughter that was ill? Mm-hmm. Would you kindly tell us that story, please?
Yeah, of course. So I have two somewhat similar stories where they've come in to aid in healing. But with my daughter, she was running a really high fever, and she was laying on the couch, and I went and I checked on her, and her fever was still running pretty high. Mm-hmm. And so I checked in intuitively, psychically, into what was going on with the body. And the minute I did that, I saw there was this little baby golden dragon that was laying on her stomach, and his little head was kind of like tucked in on her neck. And it was, a little baby dragon. And the minute I saw that, I knew, okay, she's protected. She's going to be okay. But then I realized, wait a minute, you can be healing her. So I just I literally snapped my fingers. I'm like, get up. And I didn't particularly enjoy being woken up. But I said, thank you for being here to protect her. But come on, she clearly has a virus. Let's burn it out. And so the dragon, walked up around her into her crown chakra and just started, burning out this fire. And then he walked along her body and was just kind of burning it. And then it was so cute because then it just kind of turned and looked at me like, are you happy? And so I said, thank you. And it kind of curled up, and he laid right back down and nestled his head into her neck again. And so I went downstairs because I knew she needs sleep. She's protected. She's good. And about an hour and a half or so later, she walked down the stairs and the fever had completely broken.
How about that?
Yep. Yes. And then, the other time, I was doing a pre-surgery session on somebody. They were literally going to be going into surgery 2.5 hours from that point. And so I wanted to just really kind of help let the body know that it was getting ready to have some trauma placed into it. And to put it into a calm state. But the minute I connected him with the crown, their dragon was right there. And he literally said, what are we doing? What do you need? And I said, well, they're getting ready to go in surgery, burn out any bacteria that might be around her body. So he burnt, he used fire around the whole body. And then I said, stay with her during the surgery. And as they're where they're cutting, please use fire energy and burn it along that, so no bacteria can grow there. And I saw the stitches 2 days later. It was pristine. It was beautiful. So yeah, I mean, this is just one of the ways that we can use them to come in and aid in healing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. This conversation, and of course, knowing each of you and how you work with them, really inspires me as a healer to tune in and access this realm. and bring it in to our dimension. So this is, I hope that everybody who's watching this is equally as inspired to connect with these beings. Carol, what kind of experience would you like to share with us on how they have interacted with you?
Nilesh wanted to bring the dragon energy more into this planet, this dimension, because he was aware that while they were here, they weren't interacting as much as they had. And he really felt a longing to bring their energy back into the whole mass. And my face is turning red. Oh, well. The whole that does that. The whole mass is humanity. And so he reached out to me, and he's wanted to go on I guess the closest is a shamanic journey to connect with the dragons and find out what they needed and what we could do and how we could bring the energy back more into the mass of humanity. And so we began a series of connecting and reaching out to the dragons and finding their energy. And it's the dragon energy is I say I was very respectful of it, because I had never really met an energy that embodied courage in the way that they did. So we were on several interactions of seeking out dragons, seeking out their energy, interacting with them. And I know Nilesh put out a couple of videos about our journeys with dragons. And for me, it's like, I believe that where we are on earth, and however we choose to be open in our hearts and our consciousness, with, of course, the boundaries that are always there, is something that we learn to grow and become more than who we are. So I have always, since a small child, enjoyed learning from the fairies and learning from Gaia and learning from the wind and the air and the ancestors. So the dragons were always there. For me, it was just being willing to open my consciousness to who they are. So, and I think, like you always said, that I think the important part is to set boundaries, is to set intention, to say the highest and best, and to go ahead. And I always believe in doing it with someone that you trust, so that you kind of validate each other and what you're seeing and what you're sensing. So when Nilesh and I would go on our journeys, we always would, validate what each one of us were saying. So I don't know if that makes any sense.
It does. And if they're still out there, I will put the links to those videos, because everyone should, if you're interested in this subject, it's well worth your time to listen to the shamanic journey that Carol and Nilesh went on to this realm, this planet. It's extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. I went back up to New York a couple weeks ago, and I found this dragon skull, and it totally spoke to me. I have a lot of friends who are into crystal skulls, and I'm not into crystal skulls. I'm just not into them. A lot of people love them. I'm just not into them. But I know you love them. It's great. That's fine. Beautiful. But I found there were quite a few of them. And I thought, you know what? This really does resonate with me. And this guy chose me. I haven't named him. I just found him, actually, because I'm in the middle of chaos and renovation. And I was like, well, where is the bag with my little crystal dragon skull? And so now I own a skull. It's not a human skull. It's a dragon skull, but at least it's a skull. And I'm really, really excited to have him. So.
I love that. I wanted to mention, in regards to the dragons and what Carol was mentioning, they absolutely, once you're connected with them and you work with them, they are excited when your energy comes around them. And that was kind of a shock to me. I was planning on a trip over to London. I was going to do a 10-day intensive class over in London, and I was going to be traveling all by myself there. And I was in the shower, just kind of, nervous, like, am I doing the right thing? Going there all by myself. It's a really long time. And boom, this dragon stepped in and he said, we're so excited you're coming. We all know that you're going to be over here. And I knew right then, because, some of these dragons have been, I have another friend that works with dragons. They have been chained, etherically chained and locked in some places. And so when healers and people who can come and clear, when we can come and work with our energy, we can help for them to move on as well. Mm-hmm. And so I looked into the place I was going to be going, literally just 100 yards down the road was a Knights Templar.
Oh, wow.
That was in ruin. So I was very excited to go to that trip. And I knew that I was going to need to go down there and see if I could be of assistance or, and really engage with them. But the blip happened, and literally the day I was supposed to go on the plane to fly over there was when all the borders got shut down.
Wow.
So I haven't been able to go yet, but I'm still going to go. But yes, like with Anne, with the dragon, like you can feel the energy coming through. Carol, you were saying, once you're connected in with that energy, mm-hmm. they can feel us and they interact with us. And no matter where we go on the planet, dragons are everywhere, and they're excited when our energy comes near because they know, hey, they see us, they can feel us, and we can interact with them.
Oh, that's incredible. Now, Carol, this is actually the second time we're recording this, because the first time we recorded it, we had this horrific thunderstorm roll through Florida, and both Carol and I were having horrible power issues and connectivity issues. And yeah. Carol, the last time we were together, you actually brought through the energy of a dragon. You actually channeled this dragon's energy. Would you care to do that again? See if you can reconnect? Because it was something truly extraordinary to witness.
Well, they did put my dragon ears up today, which irritates the crap out of me when they do that. When they know they're going to be there, they make little pokey things on the top of my head. So, well, they know more than I give them credit for. Use your eyes to see more than what is there. Use your heart to feel more than what is there. We are and always will be the dragons and the elders. I have a really old dragon that likes to hang around. If you've ever seen a movie where there's a really old dragon with a really big face, that's...
Can you describe him a little bit more? His coloring, the shape of his head?
Dragons are born of the spirit of the essence of the God force. And so the scales, the color, the vibration change as the dragon changes its mission, its location, and its intention. The older dragons are grayish that are here, because part of what we do is to filter out the grayness of the dimensionality. We wish for mankind to know more, and we willingly are here to absorb and transform the negative smog that is in the earth. And so our scales and so our face temporarily become grayed, become soiled. It is a service we are willing to do. When we are not on earth, when we are in other missions, other dimensions, other assists, we change. Change is part of Source's ability. Humans are beginning to understand the essential challenge and trials of change. It is a trial in the beginning, but it blooms. So from what he's saying, they do not have one color. It is something that changes depending on their need and where they are. If they choose to stand in a purple fire or a red fire or a yellow fire, they will take on the energy of that flame. If they choose to blend in or connect with the trees in the forest, they have the ability to create and flex. I am feeling flexibility and assistance, and part of who they are is to change shape, size, color. Abby, what have you experienced with the dragons and their flexibility? Have you seen any color changes?
I see the color changes when I'm dealing with the different elemental dragons. So like the earthen based dragons are more like the light browns, the scales are a little bit different on them. I've seen the crystalline dragons, the white dragons. I've seen a large white dragon with the crystalline armor on them. Those are, to me, are like the true guardians. Water dragons, I see when I'm seeing them, their bodies are different and they have the more of like the greens and the blues and they move with the light as it's hitting it, just like you do, like the water. I've seen a couple of the solid black dragons, the solid black ones. That the one solid black one, that's one I see the most. It's not attached to me, it's attached to someone I'm very close to, and it's their dragon. He was, when he first came to me, it was interesting because I was in another Akashic form and he was up on this like stone wall and he was like, his neck was just doing this because he was just moaning. He was in just agony. And I looked over and the person who in this lifetime I connected, it was their lifetime, they were being burned at the stake. In their full armor, so because they were a knight. And but what was interesting was the dragon showed me, because these knights were guarding this castle, like, and it was near the ocean, so I could see the waves like coming and crashing up. There were scrolls hidden there of truth, of true historical knowledge. And one thing that he showed me was there's still some scrolls hidden in that wall. They're still there.
Wow.
And so of course I'm like, oh, I need to find that. But these knights were willing to give their life and burn the stake in guarding the truth. So it's interesting to me the play, because I've seen two now where they're attached with the Knights Templar, the ones who are guarding the true knowledge, the scrolls, the original scrolls. So I find that interesting.
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, this is not so much a conversation with Anne Marie because Anne Marie has very little to add to this. I am just sitting here enjoying this interaction between the two of you and learning so much more about this real essence, this real energy. Any other things you want to share, Carol, about your experiences with them?
Well, I think as an ending point, it's like our humans' relationship with angels, our relationship with dragons, and any mystical counterpart is an individual one. You know, I think Abby has the most awesome adventures. You know, I mean, I feel like I'm there when she talks about them, and I can actually feel the loving emotion and the protective emotion and the familiar emotion that's around her. And so everyone has a different relationship with dragons or angels or fairies. And so not everyone's going to have a really cool relationship with dragons like Abby does. I mean, she has really cool relationships. So we're all going to have our own, as we grow, relationship with angels and dragons. And some of us are going to go on really cool journeys. Like I have no doubt Abby will go over and find the dragons and find the scrolls because I feel that they're there too. So, you know, she's going to have a really fantastic exploration life because the dragons are accompanying her with that. But not all of us can have the same type of really cool journeys that Abby has. We all have to be, I guess, our relationship with our guides and our angels and our dragons are part of an extension of who we are, you know? So I don't know how to end on that, but I'm kind of going in that we're all going to have different relationships. I don't know. How would you end that, Abby?
Oh, well, you know, I'm going to end it with piggybacking on what you were talking about. I just recently had a session and my client, dragons had been kind of coming into her thought. Not that she had seen one, but she had been thinking of them. And she said, so I know there's something there. And she said, but I'm really afraid. I have some fear around that. And it's because of the archetype that our culture has brought about with dragons. And the thing that I loved was, boom, a dragon came right in and channeled this beautiful message for her. And I was giving the image, you know, that in the archetypal image we have of dragons with fire, you know, that they're destructive. And the main message that he brought was fire is life. Fire is rebirth. This is our strongest element because this is how we can renew and rejuvenate things in this cycle, the elemental cycle. You can't have rebirth and renewal without fire. So when you think of fire and dragons, don't think destruction, think life. This is how we're bringing life back into your earthly plane. And so I really loved that message that he brought for her to help rid that image of destruction and anger with fire, with dragons, because that's not what it is. So.
Oh, wow. That is just so beautiful to think of how many truly benevolent things have been inverted for us. Mm-hmm. And you have this immense creature, energy of such love, honor, and benevolence has been also inverted in our culture for, you know, like so many other things. And that's just so beautiful to think about. Yeah. Thank you, Abby, for sharing that. And thank you, Carol.
Yeah. I want to add one more story.
Absolutely.
I love this story and I included it last time we recorded, and I just really want to share this because it kind of understands, this is how I feel that angelics and dragons are somewhat connected. Was right. We astral travel. We're doing a lot of work when we sleep. I always say sleep is an illusion. We just go to our next job. But I actually kind of this astral came to me clearly in memory, and I myself was riding on a dragon, and in front of me was Ezekiel, and he was riding on a dragon in front. And I know that we were up north. It was dark, almost thinking like Nova Scotia, way up there. But we were in a subdivision, and all of these homes had multiple feet of snow on them. And Ezekiel was shouting, like looking over his shoulder, shouting back to me. And he said, sometimes this is the work that we have to do. We bring balance into nature because sometimes it gets out of balance. And, man has a lot to contribute that because of how we tinker with weather. But he was just saying, when nature gets out of balance, this is one of the jobs and the roles that we play. We come in to help bring that back in. And he said all of these roofs would have collapsed. And so he's literally riding this dragon, and he is blowing fire on all this snow, and you can just see it slowly melting down. And he said, we have to take some of the weight off of these homes, or the homes are going to give in to the weight. And that, to me, it's just, I always hold that so strongly in my heart, that how they work, and they're doing things that we have no idea, we have no comprehension, in order to keep us safe and protected when things are out of balance outside of our control. And I just love that. I love that image that I had.
It's just marvelous. How beautiful, beautiful. Well, I mean, instinctively, I suppose, when I first took that trip, I did ask for the angels and the dragons, the winged helpers, if you will, to assist me. So connecting them all is beautiful, and you all confirming that for me is really a blessing. Thank you so very much for that. All right, so Carol, I believe you have an email where people can contact you.
I'll put a link where my videos are, where I discuss the dragons and where I do all my meditations, and I'll send that to you, and you can put that in. And then if they want to contact me, because I do check the videos, then they'll get more information on the dragons and the different angelics that I channel, and some of my work with Nilesh.
Perfect. That is marvelous. Thank you, Carol, so much. And Miss Abby, how can people get in touch with you?
They can find me on my website. It's auricray.com. And then if you just, want to tune in some more videos, I have a podcast called Raising Star Seeds.
Yes.
And you can find that on YouTube as well.
That is an amazing, amazing endeavor that Abby is. And who's your partner in this?
Heidi Pop.
And Heidi, of course. That Abby and Heidi are doing, Raising Star Seeds. I encourage everybody to check that out, especially if you have young children around, grandchildren, your own children, or like myself, I was an educator for many years, and I would always look out for those star seeds, and I'd find them all the time. It was amazing. So ladies, thank you for your time. And those of you who made it to the end, I thank you so much for your attention and your time. This is Anne Marie of The Art of Healing. You can find me at my website, AnneMarieTheArtOfHealing.com. I am a channel and multidimensional healer. And thank you, thank you, thank you. Be well and be blessed.